Welcome to a calm and magical journey to a faraway world, the world of Eloria, the forgotten city where every street, every tower, and every garden holds a story waiting to be discovered. In this long story, we will walk with Arin along the ancient road, explore serene forests, majestic towers, and abandoned squares, and immerse ourselves together in the magic of the past and the tranquility of the night. Every moment here is meant for relaxation, taking you away from the noise of everyday life and filling your mind with peace and calm before sleep. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to receive all the new and long bedtime journeys. And now let's begin this gentle adventure together, step by step, in the heart of Eloria.
Long ago, far beyond the noisy cities of the modern world, there was a quiet valley hidden between gentle mountains. The people who lived there had simple lives. Their days moved slowly, like clouds drifting across a calm sky. The valley was known as Eloria. No one truly knew how old the village was. Some said it had existed for hundreds of years. Others believed it had been there long before written history. The stone houses, the narrow paths, and the ancient trees all seemed to whisper stories from another time. In the early mornings, before the sun fully rose, a soft mist would cover the valley. The air was cool and calm. Birds would begin to sing quietly, welcoming the new day. One of the villagers, a young man named Arin, liked to wake before everyone else. He would step outside his small wooden house and breathe the fresh morning air. The world at that hour felt peaceful, almost magical. The mountains around the valley were still covered in shadows, and the first light of dawn painted the sky in soft colors of gold and pale blue. Arin enjoyed walking along the narrow path that led to the river. The river was not large, but it flowed gently through the valley like a silver ribbon. The sound of the water moving over the stones created a calm rhythm, almost like a lullaby. Many villagers believed the river had always been there. Old stories said the river carried memories of the past. If someone listened carefully enough, they might hear whispers of ancient travelers, forgotten kings, and distant lands. Arin sometimes sat by the river for hours. He liked watching the slow movement of the water. Fish swam quietly beneath the surface, and occasionally a dragonfly would glide across the water like a tiny flying jewel. Life in Eloria was peaceful. Farmers worked in the fields, planting wheat and vegetables. Bakers woke early to prepare fresh bread. Children ran along the village paths, laughing and playing simple games. Nothing in the valley moved quickly. There were no loud machines, no crowded streets, and no rushing crowds. Time itself seemed to slow down in Eloria, and that was exactly how the villagers liked it. In the evenings, warm lights appeared in the windows of the stone houses. Families gathered around wooden tables to share simple meals and quiet conversations. Sometimes the elders would tell stories. They spoke of distant kingdoms, ancient forests, and mysterious travelers who once passed through the valley. Their voices were slow and calm, perfect for the quiet nights of Eloria. But among all the peaceful routines of the village, there was one story that stood out above the rest. It was the story of the old road. The old road began at the edge of the valley and disappeared into the mountains. It was a narrow path made of ancient stones, worn smooth by countless footsteps from long ago. No one in the village used the road anymore, not because it was dangerous, but because no one knew where it truly led. The elders said that long ago, merchants and travelers once walked that road. They carried spices, fabrics, and strange objects from distant lands. But slowly, over many years, the travelers stopped coming. The road remained silent, waiting. Arin had heard these stories many times, and every time he heard them, something inside him felt curious. What lay beyond the mountains? What cities existed far away? What stories were waiting on the other side of the old road? Most villagers were content to live their entire lives in Eloria, but Arin often wondered about the wider world. One quiet evening, as the sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains, Arin walked to the edge of the valley. There it was, the old road, covered with patches of grass and small wildflowers. The ancient stones stretched toward the dark mountains like a forgotten path from another age. The wind moved softly through the trees. The valley behind him was peaceful and familiar, but the road ahead held mystery. Arin stood there for a long moment, listening to the quiet sounds of nature. He did not know it yet, but that simple moment, standing beside the old road at sunset, would soon begin a journey that would change his life forever. And far beyond the mountains, a forgotten story was waiting to awaken. The night in the valley of Eloria was always calm and gentle. As darkness slowly covered the mountains, small lights appeared in the windows of the stone houses. Families finished their evening meals, and the quiet rhythm of village life slowly faded into silence. Arin could not stop thinking about the old road. Even after returning home, the image of the ancient stones stretching into the mountains stayed in his mind. He had walked near that road many times before, yet tonight something felt different. Almost as if the road itself was calling him. The following morning arrived softly. The sun slowly climbed above the eastern hills, painting the sky in warm shades of gold and pale orange. A light mist still rested above the fields, and the scent of fresh grass filled the cool morning air. Arin woke earlier than usual. He stepped outside and looked toward the distant mountains. From his small house, he could barely see the beginning of the old road, but he knew exactly where it was. For a moment, he hesitated. Life in Eloria was simple and peaceful. Everyone knew each other, and every day followed a familiar rhythm. Leaving the valley, even for a short journey, was something few villagers ever considered. But curiosity is a powerful thing. After a simple breakfast, Arin packed a small cloth bag. Inside he placed a piece of bread, a bottle of water, and a warm cloak. He did not plan to travel far. He only wanted to follow the road a little, just enough to see what lay beyond the valley. The old road waited quietly at the edge of Eloria. Wildflowers grew between the stones, and tall grass gently moved in the wind. The path looked peaceful, almost forgotten by time. Arin took his first step onto the road. The valley slowly faded behind him. As he continued walking, the open fields began to disappear, replaced by taller trees and thicker vegetation. The mountains seemed closer now, their slopes covered with dark forests. Soon Arin reached the edge of the whispering forest. The villagers called it that because of the sound the wind made when it moved through. The entrance to the whispering forest felt calm, yet mysterious. Tall trees formed a natural arch above the ancient road, their branches gently swaying in the soft mountain wind. Sunlight filtered through the leaves in thin golden lines that touched the forest floor. Arin slowed his steps. The air inside the forest was cooler than in the valley. The smell of damp earth, moss, and pine filled the quiet space between the trees. For a moment, he simply listened. The forest was not silent. Instead, it was full of gentle sounds. Leaves rustled softly. Somewhere in the distance a bird called once, then again. The wind moved slowly through the branches, creating the whispering sound that had given the forest its name. Many villagers believed the forest had its own quiet spirit. Not something frightening or dangerous, but something old, patient, and watchful. Arin continued walking along the old road. The stones beneath his feet were uneven now. Some were covered in moss, others slightly buried under layers of fallen leaves. It was clear that very few travelers had used this path for many years. Yet the road was still visible, still waiting. As Arin walked deeper into the forest, the light slowly changed. The bright morning sun became softer, filtered through countless leaves above. The world felt slower here, as if time itself moved more gently among the ancient trees. After a while, Arin noticed something unusual. Footprints. They were faint, barely visible in the soft earth beside the road. Not fresh, but not completely old either. Someone had passed through this forest before. Perhaps a traveler from another land, or maybe a wandering merchant. The thought made the forest feel slightly less empty. Arin followed the road for another hour. Eventually he reached a small clearing. In the center stood something surprising, an old stone well. It was round and built from carefully stacked gray stones. Moss covered most of its surface, and small plants grew between the cracks. A wooden frame once used for drawing water still stood above it, though the rope had long since disappeared. Arin stepped closer. He looked inside the well. At first he saw only darkness. But as his eyes adjusted, he noticed something shining faintly far below. A small pool of water rested at the bottom, reflecting a thin beam of sunlight from above. The water was perfectly still, like a mirror hidden deep in the earth. Arin sat beside the well for a few minutes, resting and listening to the quiet forest around him. The journey had already taken him farther than he had ever traveled before. And yet, strangely, he felt calm. The forest did not feel dangerous. It felt patient, as if it had been waiting a long time for someone to walk this road again. After resting, Arin stood up and looked ahead. The old road continued deeper into the forest. The mountains rose higher in the distance, their peaks touching the slow-moving clouds above. He could still turn back now. The valley of Eloria was not far behind him, but curiosity gently pushed him forward. So Arin adjusted the small bag on his shoulder and continued along the ancient stones, his footsteps soft against the quiet path. The whispering forest slowly closed around him, and somewhere far ahead, beyond the trees and beyond the mountains, the forgotten kingdom continued to wait. Arin left a small clearing behind him and continued walking along the ancient road. The whispering forest grew deeper and quieter with every step. The trees here were older, their trunks wide and strong, their branches stretching high into the sky. The road slowly curved between the trees like a forgotten path drawn by time itself. The morning passed gently. Soft beams of sunlight moved slowly across the forest floor. The sound of Arin's footsteps mixed with the quiet music of nature. Leaves moving in the wind, distant birds calling, and the occasional creak of old branches swaying above. After walking for what felt like another hour, Arin heard something new. Water. At first it was only a faint sound, a soft, flowing whisper somewhere ahead. But as he continued walking, the sound grew clearer. Soon the trees began to open slightly, revealing a narrow river cutting through the forest. And across the river stood an old stone bridge. The bridge looked very ancient. Large blocks of gray stone formed its strong arch above the water. Moss and small plants covered many parts of it, showing how long it had stood there. Arin stepped closer. The water below moved slowly and calmly, reflecting the light of the sky between the trees. Smooth stones rested beneath the surface, and small fish could be seen moving quietly in the clear stream. The bridge felt peaceful, as if many travelers had once crossed it long ago. Arin placed his hand on the cool stone wall of the bridge. The surface was rough, shaped by wind, rain, and the passing of countless seasons. For a moment he imagined the people who might have walked here centuries before. Merchants carrying goods from distant cities. Travelers searching for new lands. Messengers bringing news between kingdoms. All of them had once walked this road. Slowly, Arin crossed the bridge. On the other side, the forest changed slightly. The trees grew closer together, and the path became more narrow. Yet the old road was still there, guiding him forward. A gentle wind moved through the branches above. For a moment it almost sounded like quiet voices. Not real voices, just the soft language of the forest itself. Arin paused and looked back once more. Behind him, the bridge rested peacefully above the river, half hidden by the trees. The valley of Eloria was now far behind. But strangely, Arin did not feel afraid. Instead, he felt a quiet excitement. The world beyond the valley was slowly revealing itself. And this was only the beginning. The old road continued beyond the bridge, winding deeper into the forest. The air became cooler, and the sunlight softer as the tall trees filtered the light above. Arin walked calmly, enjoying the quiet rhythm of his journey. The forest seemed endless, yet peaceful. Every step felt slow and gentle, as if the road itself encouraged travelers to move without hurry. After some time, Arin noticed something unusual beside the path. A large stone stood near the edge of the road. It was taller than a person and shaped almost like a pillar. Unlike the natural rocks scattered across the forest floor, this stone had clearly been placed there long ago. Its surface was covered with faint carvings. Curious, Arin stepped closer. The carvings were worn by time, but some shapes were still visible. Lines, symbols, and simple drawings filled the surface of the stone. It looked like an ancient marker. Perhaps travelers had once used it as a guide along the road. Arin traced the shapes with his fingers. One symbol looked like a mountain. Another looked like a small village surrounded by walls. And near the bottom was a simple drawing of the road itself, stretching forward. This must have been a traveler's stone. A sign from the past, left behind to guide those who walked the old road. Arin sat near the stone and took a small piece of bread from his bag. As he ate quietly, he imagined the many travelers who might have rested here before him. Perhaps they too had sat beside this same stone. Perhaps they had wondered what lay ahead, just as he did now. The forest breeze moved gently through the leaves above. For a moment the world felt perfectly calm. After resting, Arin stood up again and looked forward. The old road continued through the forest, slowly climbing toward the distant mountains. Somewhere beyond those mountains, unknown lands were waiting. And now, step by step, Arin was beginning to discover them. After leaving the traveler's stone behind, Arin continued along the old road. The forest slowly began to change again. The tall trees became less dense, and small openings appeared between them. Through those openings, Arin could see the mountains more clearly now. Their slopes rose gently toward the sky, covered with soft green hills and scattered trees. A light wind moved through the tall grass, creating waves that rolled slowly across the landscape. The old road slowly climbed upward. Each step carried Arin farther from the deep forest and closer to the quiet hills. The air felt different here. It was fresher, cooler, and carried the faint scent of wild flowers growing along the roadside. Small white and purple blossoms appeared between the stones, as if nature itself had gently decorated the ancient path. Arin stopped for a moment and looked around. From this higher place he could finally see the valley of Eloria in the distance. The village was now only a small group of tiny shapes far away, resting peacefully between the fields and river. The sight filled him with calm. His home was still there, safe and quiet, but the world beyond it was slowly opening. Arin continued walking until he reached the top of the hill. At the highest point stood an old wooden post leaning slightly to one side. It looked very old, perhaps placed there many generations ago. Faint carvings were still visible on its surface. One arrow pointed back toward the valley. Another arrow pointed forward toward the mountains. Below the second arrow was a word carved in ancient letters, Eloria. Arin had never heard that name before. Perhaps it was a town. Or maybe an old kingdom that no longer existed. The mystery made the journey feel even more interesting. He rested for a few minutes, enjoying the quiet wind moving across the hills. The sky above was wide and clear, and soft clouds drifted slowly across the blue horizon. Then he stood again and followed the arrow pointing forward. The old road continued, and somewhere beyond the hills, the forgotten place called Eloria waited silently. The road slowly descended from the hills into another peaceful valley. This valley felt different from the one Arin had left behind. It was quieter, even the wind seemed softer here. As Arin followed the road, he soon saw something shining ahead. Water. A wide lake rested peacefully between the hills, its surface smooth like glass. The sky and clouds reflected perfectly in the still water. It looked almost like a giant mirror placed gently within the landscape. The old road curved around the edge of the lake. Arin walked slowly along the shore. The water was so calm that not even the smallest ripple disturbed its surface. Small reeds grew near the edge, moving gently with the breeze. Birds rested quietly near the water, and occasionally one would glide slowly across the sky before landing again near the shore. The place felt peaceful, almost magical. Arin knelt beside the lake and touched the water with his hand. It was cool and clear. He filled his bottle and sat for a moment, watching the clouds reflected in the lake. It felt like a perfect place for travelers to rest. Perhaps that was why the ancient road passed beside it. After some time, Arin noticed something interesting on the opposite side of the lake. Far away, near the base of the mountains, something rose above the trees. At first it looked like a large rock, but as he looked closer, he realized it was something else. A tower. A very old tower, half hidden by trees and distance. Arin stood slowly. The tower looked ancient and silent. and somehow, it felt connected to the road he was following. Without rushing, Arin picked up his bag and continued walking along the path that slowly curved toward the mysterious structure. The sleeping lake remained behind him, calm and quiet under the afternoon sky. Ahead, the ancient tower waited patiently. As Arin continued along the old road, the tower slowly became clearer. It stood on a small hill near the base of the mountains. Its stone walls were worn by centuries of wind and rain. Small vines climbed along its sides, and parts of the upper walls had begun to crumble. Yet the tower still stood strong. Tall, silent, watching the valley below. The road eventually reached the hill where the tower rested. Arin walked slowly up the gentle slope. The grass moved softly in the wind, and small insects buzzed quietly around the wildflowers growing along the hill. When he reached the top, he stood before the tower's entrance. The wooden door was old but still standing. Iron hinges held it in place, dark with age. Above the doorway was a small carved symbol, a circle surrounded by 4 small stars. Arin did not know what the symbol meant, but it looked important. Carefully, he pushed the door. It opened slowly with a quiet creak. Inside, the tower was cool and dim. A spiral staircase curved upward along the stone wall. Small windows allowed thin lines of light to enter the quiet interior. Dust floated gently in the air. No one had been here for a very long time. Arin stepped inside and listened. The tower was completely silent. It felt like a place forgotten by time. Yet the old road had clearly led him here for a reason. Arin looked up the spiral staircase. It disappeared into the shadows above. Taking a slow breath, he placed his foot on the first step and began to climb. Arin began climbing the spiral staircase inside the silent tower. The stone steps curved slowly upward along the circular wall. Each step was worn smooth by time, as if many people had once walked here long ago. The air inside the tower was cool and still. Small windows appeared every few turns of the staircase, allowing thin lines of sunlight to enter. The light created soft patterns on the old stone walls. Arin climbed slowly. His footsteps echoed quietly in the empty tower. The higher he climbed, the more peaceful the silence became. Outside, the wind moved gently across the hills, but inside the tower everything felt calm and protected. After climbing for several minutes, Arin reached a small room halfway up the tower. The room was simple. A wooden table stood near the wall, covered with dust. Beside it rested an old chair. Near the window was a narrow shelf carved into the stone. Arin stepped closer to the window. From here he could see the sleeping lake far below. The water still reflected the sky like a mirror, and the old road curved gently around its edge. The view was beautiful. It felt like the tower had been built as a place to watch the land. Perhaps long ago someone had lived here, a guard, a traveler, or maybe a scholar who loved the quiet. Arin rested for a moment before continuing his climb. The staircase still led higher, and something inside him was curious to see what waited at the very top. The spiral stairs continued until Arin finally reached the highest room of the tower. This room was round and brighter than the others. Several tall windows opened toward the surrounding landscape. From here Arin could see the hills, the forest, the lake, and the distant mountains all at once. But something else caught his attention. In the center of the room stood a wooden chest. It was not large, but it looked carefully made. The wood was dark and polished, and small metal corners protected its edges. Arin approached slowly. The chest was not locked. With gentle hands, he lifted the lid. Inside he found several objects resting quietly on a cloth. An old map, a small compass, and a thin leather journal. Arin picked up the map first. It showed the land beyond the mountains. Several roads stretched across valleys and rivers, connecting towns and places he had never heard of before. One name appeared clearly near the center of the map. Eloria, the same name he had seen carved on the wooden post earlier. Arin then opened the leather journal. The pages were filled with careful handwriting from someone who had lived long ago. The writing described journeys across the mountains, visits to distant cities, and stories of travelers who had followed the old road. It seemed that the tower had once belonged to a traveler, someone who explored the world and recorded everything they saw. Arin closed the journal slowly. For the first time he realized something important. The old road was not just an abandoned path. It was once part of a much larger journey. And now, without planning it, Arin had begun that journey himself. Arin remained in the tower for a while, quietly reading parts of the journal. The traveler who wrote it described peaceful villages, long roads through forests, and large cities beyond the mountains. The world seemed much bigger than Arin had ever imagined. Slowly, the afternoon light began to fade. Golden sunlight entered through the tower windows, filling the room with warm colors. Arin looked outside. The sun was slowly moving toward the mountains in the west. Soon evening would arrive. He knew he could not travel much farther today, so Arin decided to spend the night in the tower. He went down the stairs and found the small room he had seen earlier. The wooden chair and table were still strong enough to use, and the stone walls protected the room from the evening wind. He placed his bag beside the wall and sat near the window. Outside, the sky slowly turned from gold to soft shades of orange and purple. The lake below reflected the colors of the sunset. Everything felt calm, peaceful, like the world itself was preparing for sleep. Arin ate the last piece of bread from his bag and wrapped himself in his warm cloak. The quiet tower became his resting place for the night. And above him, the first stars slowly appeared in the darkening sky. Night settled gently across the hills. From the tower window, Arin could see the moon rising above the distant mountains. Its soft silver light touched the surface of the lake, turning the calm water into a glowing mirror. The world was quiet. Only the soft sound of wind moving across the grass could be heard. Arin lay down on the wooden floor, resting against his folded cloak. The long day of walking had made him pleasantly tired. Before closing his eyes, he looked once more at the peaceful landscape outside. The old road stretched quietly through the valley. Somewhere beyond the mountains, the mysterious place called Eloria waited. Arin did not know what he would find there, but the thought no longer made him nervous. Instead, it filled him with quiet curiosity. The kind of curiosity that slowly leads travelers forward. His eyes grew heavy. The tower remained silent and calm around him. And soon, under the gentle light of the moon, Arin drifted into a deep and peaceful sleep. Tomorrow, his journey would continue. Morning arrived quietly at the old tower. The first light of dawn slowly appeared above the distant mountains. Soft golden rays entered through the narrow windows and gently touched the stone walls inside the tower. Arin opened his eyes slowly. For a moment he forgot where he was. The room felt unfamiliar, but then he remembered the long road, the quiet forest, and the ancient tower where he had spent the night. He stood and walked toward the window. Outside, the sleeping lake looked even more beautiful in the morning light. Thin mist floated gently above the water, moving slowly like soft clouds drifting across the surface. Birds began to fly over the lake. Their wings moved silently through the calm morning air. Arin took a deep breath. The air felt fresh and cool. From the tower he could see the old road stretching toward the mountains. The road disappeared between hills and trees far in the distance. Somewhere beyond those hills was the place marked on the old map. Eloria. Arin packed his small bag again. Before leaving the tower, he carefully placed the map and the journal back inside the wooden chest where he had found them. They felt like treasures from the past, meant to remain here for future travelers. But he kept one thing: the small compass. It might help him if the road ever became difficult to follow. With a final look around the quiet tower room, Arin walked down the spiral stairs and stepped outside. The morning sun was rising higher now, and the road was waiting. Arin left the tower behind and continued walking along the old road. The path slowly moved away from the lake and began to climb toward the mountains ahead. The hills became steeper, and the grass grew shorter between the stones. The landscape here felt wide and open. A cool mountain breeze moved across the land, carrying the scent of pine trees from the higher slopes. Arin walked calmly. He was no longer thinking about turning back. Instead, he felt curious about what lay ahead. After some time, the road entered another forest. This forest was different from the Whispering Forest. The trees were taller and thinner, their branches reaching high into the sky like silent towers of wood and leaves. Sunlight moved gently between them. The ground was covered with soft needles from the pine trees, making Arin's footsteps almost completely silent. The old road here was still visible, but it looked older than before. Some stones had shifted slightly over time, others were half covered by moss and grass. Yet the road continued, as if it still remembered the direction it was meant to follow. Arin continued walking through the tall forest, listening to the peaceful sounds of the wind moving through the pine branches above. After several hours of walking, the forest slowly opened into a beautiful meadow. The change was sudden. One moment Arin was walking between tall trees, and the next he stepped into a wide open field filled with tall grass and colorful wildflowers. Red, yellow, blue, and white blossoms moved gently in the wind. The meadow stretched far across the valley, surrounded by forest on all sides. In the center of the meadow, the old road crossed quietly like a thin ribbon of stone. Arin walked slowly through the field. Bees moved peacefully between the flowers, and butterflies floated lightly through the warm afternoon air. The place felt calm and welcoming. It was the perfect place for a traveler to rest. Near the center of the meadow stood a large oak tree. Its wide branches created a circle of shade on the grass below. Arin sat beneath the tree and closed his eyes for a moment. The wind moved softly through the leaves above him. The distant mountains stood quietly beyond the meadow, and the old road continued forward, always leading him deeper into the unknown. As the afternoon slowly passed, Arin stood and continued along the road. The meadow gradually faded behind him as the path entered another small valley between the hills. The sun was beginning its slow journey toward the western mountains. Golden light filled the sky. Then, something unexpected reached his ears. A sound, very faint, almost carried by the wind. Bells. Arin stopped walking and listened carefully. Yes, it was definitely bells. Not loud ones like in a city tower. These were softer, gentle sounds that repeated slowly. Clink, clink, clink. The sound seemed to come from somewhere beyond the hills ahead. Perhaps a small village, or maybe travelers with animals wearing bells around their necks. Arin smiled quietly. For the first time since leaving Eloria, he realized he might soon meet other people on the road. The world beyond the valley was not empty after all, and somewhere ahead, life was waiting. As evening approached, Arin followed the sound of the bells. Soon he saw small shapes moving slowly on a hillside. Sheep, dozens of them. They grazed peacefully in the tall grass while the wind moved softly through their white wool. Near the center of the herd stood a small camp. A simple fire burned gently beside a wooden cart, and a man sat quietly on a stool watching the animals. The man looked up as Arin approached. He was older, with a long gray beard and calm eyes. "Good evening, traveler," the shepherd said kindly. Arin greeted him and explained that he had come from the valley of Eloria, following the old road toward the mountains. The shepherd nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "this road leads far beyond the mountains. Few people walk it these days." The sheep bells continued their soft rhythm around them. The sun slowly disappeared behind the hills, filling the sky with warm orange light. The shepherd offered Arin a place near the fire for the night. And under the quiet evening sky, beside a peaceful herd of sheep, Arin listened to the gentle sound of bells drifting through the twilight. His journey was only beginning. The small fire beside the shepherd's cart burned softly in the cool evening air. Arin sat near the flames while the flock of sheep rested quietly across the hillside. Their bells moved gently whenever one of them shifted, creating a calm rhythm that blended with the sound of the wind. The shepherd added a small piece of wood to the fire. Orange sparks rose slowly into the darkening sky. "You came from Eloria, you said?" the shepherd asked in a calm voice. Arin nodded. The shepherd smiled softly. "I remember that valley. Many years ago I passed through it while traveling south. It is a peaceful place." Arin asked the shepherd if he knew anything about the old road. The old man looked toward the mountains in the distance. "Yes," he said slowly. "Long ago, this road was full of travelers. Merchants, messengers, scholars, people from many lands walked this path." The sheep bells continued their gentle sound in the night. But over time, the shepherd continued, new roads were built. Bigger towns grew elsewhere, and slowly the old road became quiet. Arin listened carefully. The fire crackled softly between them. But the road still leads somewhere, Arin said. The shepherd nodded again. Yes. Beyond the mountains lies a valley where an old city once stood. He paused for a moment before saying the name. Eloria. Arin felt a quiet excitement. The name appeared again, just like on the map and the wooden post. What happened to it? Arin asked. The shepherd looked into the fire. Some say the city became empty long ago. Others believe people still live there quietly, far from the busy world. The night grew deeper around them. Above, countless stars appeared in the sky. And somewhere beyond the mountains, the mysterious city of Eloria waited. The shepherd allowed Arin to rest near the small camp for the night. The sheep gathered together in a calm circle around the hillside, their soft breathing and gentle bells creating a peaceful sound in the darkness. Arin lay down beside the fire, wrapped in his cloak. The warmth of the flames and the cool mountain air created a perfect balance of comfort. Above him, the sky stretched endlessly. Stars filled the night like tiny lanterns shining across the universe. Arin had never seen the sky so clearly before. In Eloria, the mountains often hid much of the horizon. But here, the stars seemed brighter. Closer, the shepherd quietly hummed a soft melody while checking on the flock. The sound was slow and calming. Soon Arin felt his eyes growing heavy. The long journey, the fresh air, and the peaceful surroundings made him deeply relaxed. The sheep bells continued their gentle rhythm. Clink, 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 like a lullaby carried by the night wind. And before long, Arin drifted into another deep and restful sleep beneath the quiet stars. Morning came softly across the hills. The eastern sky slowly filled with pale light as the sun prepared to rise. The sheep began to move again, stretching and walking through the tall grass as they searched for fresh patches to eat. Arin woke to the gentle sound of bells and soft footsteps. The shepherd was already awake, guiding the flock slowly across the hillside. "Good morning, traveler," he said kindly. Arin stood and stretched. The air was cool and refreshing. In the distance, the mountains looked larger now. Their peaks were touched by the first golden light of the rising sun. The shepherd pointed toward a narrow valley between two of the mountains. "The old road continues there," he explained. "If you follow that valley, you will reach the mountain pass." Arin thanked the shepherd for his kindness and for sharing the night beside the campfire. Before leaving, the old man handed him a small piece of cheese and bread. "For the road," he said with a smile. Arin placed the food in his bag. Then he began walking again along the ancient path. Behind him, the sheep bells slowly faded into the distance. Ahead, the mountains waited quietly under the morning sun. The old road entered the valley the shepherd had pointed out. Tall cliffs rose on both sides, creating a narrow path that led deeper into the mountains. The wind here sounded different. It moved through the rocks with a soft echo, almost like distant whispers. Arin walked slowly, following the stones of the ancient road. Small streams flowed down from the mountain slopes, crossing the path before continuing toward the lower valleys. The air smelled of cold rock and fresh water. Occasionally he saw mountain birds flying high above the cliffs. Their wings moved silently through the clear sky. The valley felt quiet and powerful, like a gateway between worlds. Each step carried Arin closer to the high mountains. And somewhere beyond them, the forgotten city of Eloria. By midday, Arin finally reached the highest point of the road. The mountain pass opened before him. Large stones surrounded the path, shaped by wind and snow over countless winters. The air here was colder, and the wind moved strongly across the open space. Arin paused for a moment. From this high place he could see two worlds. Behind him were the valleys he had crossed, the forest, the lake, the meadow, and far beyond them, the distant land of Eloria. Ahead lay a completely new landscape. A vast valley stretched beyond the mountains. Rivers shone like silver lines under the sunlight. Forests and open plains covered the land. And very far away, Arin thought he saw something rising from the center of the valley. Tall shapes, like towers, perhaps ruins, or perhaps the distant remains of Eloria. The old road continued downward toward that mysterious valley. Arin took a slow breath. Then he stepped forward. The second half of his journey had begun. Descending the mountain pass, Arin could feel the air slowly warming as he moved into the lower valley. The stones of the old road were worn smooth, polished by centuries of travel, though now mostly untouched. Soft moss grew between the cracks, cushioning each step. Through the thinning mist, Arin could see more clearly the shapes in the distance. Tall, crumbling towers rose above the trees. Faint outlines of old walls stretched across the valley floor. Eloria, the city seemed abandoned from this distance, yet alive in some strange way. Light moved across the ruins, reflecting off broken windows and collapsed rooftops. Arin slowed his pace. The valley felt silent, but not empty. The wind whispered softly through the broken stones. Birds circled above, calling to each other in distant echoes. Every detail seemed suspended in time, waiting for someone to explore it once again. Before reaching the city, the old road passed through another forest, smaller but older than the ones he had crossed before. The trees here were twisted, their roots reaching across the path like careful guardians. Sunlight barely reached the ground, filtered through thick leaves overhead. Shadows moved slowly with the wind. The forest seemed older than time itself. Each step Arin took on the moss-covered path felt like stepping into a story written long ago. Small creatures moved quietly in the underbrush. A deer lifted its head and watched him pass. A fox darted silently between the trees. The old road wound gently through this ancient forest, guiding him onward toward the ruins ahead. After the forest, Arin arrived at the edge of the city. The first thing he noticed was the massive gates, now fallen and overgrown with ivy and wildflowers. Stone pillars leaned slightly to one side, worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain. A faint path of stones, part of the old road, led into the heart of Eloria. Arin stepped carefully across the threshold. The silence of the city was almost overwhelming. No sounds of life reached him. Yet the air felt strangely calm, as if the city itself was watching, waiting. He walked slowly down the central street. The remnants of buildings lined both sides, their stone walls cracked and faded. Windows were empty, dark, but with traces of past lives, shelves, doors, and even a small chair still leaning where someone had left it long ago. Arin imagined the people who once walked these streets. The merchants, the children, the scholars. The quiet streets seemed to hold their memory. After a short walk, Arin reached what must have been the central square. A large fountain stood at the center, its stone basin cracked but still recognizable. No water flowed now, but moss and small plants had begun to fill it, creating a miniature garden where once there was flowing water. Around the square, buildings of varying heights formed a circle. Their rooftops had collapsed in places, revealing interiors that once housed shops, workshops, and homes. The air smelled of earth and stone, softened by the gentle growth of wildflowers. Arin slowly walked around the fountain. From this vantage point, he could see the distant towers he had glimpsed from the mountain pass. They seemed closer now, almost inviting him to explore further. The city, though abandoned, felt like a gentle friend, a quiet companion on his journey. Among the ruins, one building stood taller than the rest. Its large, arched doorway suggested it had been important once. Carefully, Arin approached. Inside, he discovered rows of old shelves, some still standing, others fallen and covered in dust. Scrolls and books lay scattered across the stone floor, their pages yellowed with age. The air inside was cool and calm. It smelled of old paper, wood, and the quiet weight of history. Arin picked up a small book. Its pages were fragile but filled with careful writing. The words told of Eloria's past, of scholars who studied the stars, healers who tended to the sick, and travelers who arrived along the old road from distant lands. For the first time, Arin understood the city was not just a place. It was a story that had waited centuries for someone to walk its streets again. And now, he was here. Arin left the library and stepped into another part of Eloria. Here, the streets were wider, lined with the remains of small shops and market stalls. Wooden beams had collapsed in some places, but the shapes were still visible, crates, baskets, and old counters worn smooth by time. The air was calm, filled with the faint scent of wildflowers growing between the stones. He walked slowly, imagining the days when merchants would have shouted softly to announce their goods, when children ran laughing between the stalls, and townspeople met to exchange news. The market was silent now. Yet, in its stillness, it felt alive. The echoes of the past seemed to move gently with the wind. A small breeze lifted a thin layer of dust from a wooden crate, and it floated quietly through the street like a whisper from history. Arin touched the surface of a long abandoned counter. The wood was rough and warm from the sunlight. He realized the city had stories hidden in every corner, waiting to be discovered slowly, like gentle steps leading him forward. Beyond the market, Arin discovered a small enclosed garden. Stone walls surrounded it, now partly crumbled, and ivy climbed slowly over the remains. Inside, wildflowers grew freely, and a small fountain, long dry, stood in the center. Its basin was covered with moss and tiny plants, but water still shimmered faintly in the sunlight reflected off scattered stones. The garden felt like a secret place, untouched by the world outside. Arin walked slowly among the flowers, brushing his fingers over the soft petals. Butterflies drifted lazily in the warm air, and birds flitted from tree to tree, calling to each other quietly. It felt like a hidden sanctuary. He realized the city had been built not only for life but for moments like this, calm, peaceful spaces where people could pause and reflect. From the garden, Arin looked back toward the tallest tower he had seen from the mountain pass. Its shadow stretched across the city like a gentle hand, covering streets and ruins in soft shade. The tower seemed to watch over Eloria, still, patient and silent. Arin walked toward it slowly, curious to see if there was more to discover inside. Even in ruin, it felt protective, like the heartbeat of the city itself. As he reached the base of the tower, sunlight glinted off fragments of glass from the upper windows. He paused for a moment, feeling the quiet history of the place pressing gently around him. The city was empty, yet it was full of stories, waiting to be remembered. Arin climbed carefully along the broken staircases of the lower buildings to reach the rooftops. From this height, he could see the entire city spread before him. Streets wound between ruined walls, gardens peeked out from hidden corners, and the distant mountains rose majestically beyond the valley. The wind was cooler up here, carrying the faint scent of distant pine forests. A bird circled above, its shadow passing slowly across the tiles. He walked gently along the rooftops, taking in the city from a new perspective. Even in silence, Eloria seemed alive, whispering its history to anyone patient enough to notice. On the far side of the city, Arin discovered a small courtyard tucked behind crumbling walls. A single tree stood in its center, old and twisted, with branches stretching toward the sky. The ground was soft with moss and tiny flowers, and sunlight filtered through the cracks in the surrounding walls. It felt like a hidden world within the larger city, a quiet, private place where time moved differently. Arin sat beneath the tree for a while, listening to the soft rustling of leaves and the distant echo of the wind moving through the abandoned streets. The journey through Eloria was slowly revealing itself, one gentle discovery at a time. And beyond the walls, beyond the rooftops, the old road still waited, leading him onward toward new mysteries. Arin left the hidden courtyard and wandered into a small plaza he had not yet seen. At its center stood an ancient fountain. The stone basin was cracked and moss-covered, but the circular patterns carved into the sides were still visible. No water flowed here anymore, yet the fountain felt alive. Sunlight touched its stones in soft golden streaks, and tiny plants had begun to grow in the cracks, creating a miniature garden that seemed to pulse quietly with life. Arin knelt and ran his fingers across the cold stone. It was smooth in some places, rough in others, shaped by centuries of wind, rain, and the footsteps of countless travelers. He could almost imagine children laughing here, splashing water, their voices echoing through the plaza long ago. Even in silence, the city had memories that lingered. From the plaza, Arin wandered into a narrow alley. The walls on either side were cracked and overgrown with ivy. Sunlight barely touched the ground, filtered through broken rooftops above. Small remnants of daily life remained, a wooden stool leaning against the wall, a clay pot tipped on its side, and faded markings on the stone floor that hinted at games children once played. The alley felt intimate, secretive, as if it had been waiting for someone curious enough to explore its quiet corners. Every step Arin took stirred the soft layer of dust covering the stones. Yet he moved slowly, careful not to disturb the peace that had grown here over centuries. It was as though Eloria itself guided him, showing him its stories one gentle detail at a time. Arin's wandering brought him to the base of a tall bell tower in the city's heart. The tower leaned slightly, but its stonework was still strong. Windows high above framed the sky, and inside, faint shadows hinted at staircases leading upward. The old bell, cracked and silent, rested high above. Arin climbed the narrow staircase carefully, each step echoing softly in the empty tower. When he reached the top, he looked out over Eloria. From this height, the city spread beneath him like a living map of memory. He could see the central square, the rooftops, and even the hidden courtyard with its twisted tree. The wind was cooler here, carrying whispers from distant hills and valleys. It was quiet, yet the city felt alive in the soft breeze. Returning to the base of the bell tower, Arin felt drawn once more to the old library he had discovered earlier. Inside, the scattered books and scrolls waited patiently. Arin picked one at random and carefully opened it. The pages told stories of travelers, scholars, and the people who once called Eloria home. Each sentence was filled with life, quiet yet vivid, painting pictures of a city full of stories waiting to be remembered. He read slowly, letting each word sink in. The library was not merely a building, it was the memory of Eloria itself. It reminded him that even in silence, history whispers to those who choose to listen. As the day slowly ended, Arin stepped outside once more. The sky above Eloria was painted in shades of orange, pink, and violet. Long shadows stretched across the streets, and the city seemed to glow in the soft light of evening. Arin climbed to one of the taller rooftops to watch the sunset. From here, he could see the distant mountains, the forested hills, and the valley beyond where the old road had brought him. The city, though empty, felt peaceful. Every corner, every stone, and every silent street held its own story. As the stars began to appear one by one, Arin sat quietly, letting the calm of Eloria wash over him. The journey was far from over, yet this evening felt like a gentle pause, a moment to breathe before continuing onward. As night fell over Eloria, Arin wandered through a quiet street, the sky above now deep blue, sprinkled with stars. He found an old lantern hanging from a post. Its glass was dusty, but the warm glow of the remaining candle inside created soft light across the stone path. Arin walked slowly, letting the lantern's glow guide his steps. The city, bathed in this gentle light, felt almost magical. Shadows moved softly across the walls, and the wind carried whispers through the empty streets, like memories stirring. For the first time, he felt truly connected to the city. Eloria was not just a place, it was a companion for travelers patient enough to listen to its quiet stories. Arin returned to the hidden courtyard with the twisted tree. In the soft lantern light, the garden seemed more alive than before. Small nocturnal creatures moved quietly among the moss and flowers. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blossoms through the courtyard. He sat beneath the tree once more, letting the calm of the night fill him. The city's silence was no longer lonely, it was peaceful, soothing, like a lullaby carried through stone and leaf. He realized that each corner of Eloria had its own rhythm, its own quiet heartbeat. And tonight, he was listening. Arin climbed to one of the higher rooftops. The night sky stretched endlessly above him. Stars sparkled like diamonds, reflected faintly on broken rooftops and quiet streets. From here, the city seemed to breathe gently, almost alive under the soft moonlight. He watched the constellations slowly move across the sky, their light touching the ancient stones with calm silver beams. The old road beyond the city, the mountains, and the distant forests all glowed faintly in the moonlight. Arin felt a quiet joy in knowing that the world was vast, calm, and full of mysteries waiting for him to discover. Walking back down from the rooftops, Arin explored a narrow corridor between two buildings. The walls, cracked and covered in ivy, seemed to whisper softly as the wind passed through. Each stone held memories of children playing, merchants speaking, and scholars reading. Even in silence, the city's stories moved around him. Arin placed his hand on one of the stones and felt a strange warmth, as if the city itself acknowledged his presence. It reminded him that even in abandoned places, life continues in quiet ways, unseen but not gone. By the time Arin returned to the central plaza, the city was bathed in soft moonlight. The fountain in the center, though dry, reflected the silver glow, creating small shimmering patterns on the surrounding stones. The wind moved gently through the streets, carrying soft sounds like a lullaby, rustling leaves, distant bird calls, and the faint echo of Arin's footsteps. He sat by the fountain, closing his eyes and listening. Eldoria's silence was not empty, it was alive with calm, history, and stories. Under the stars, Arin drifted into sleep once more, dreaming of the next day's journey through the quiet streets and mysterious towers. Arin wandered to a quiet corner of Eloria he had not yet explored. A small courtyard lay hidden between two tall buildings. Its walls were covered in ivy, and a single tree stretched its branches toward the sky. Soft moss grew between broken stones, and tiny wildflowers peeked from cracks in the pavement. The courtyard felt like a secret, a peaceful world within the larger city. Arin sat beneath the tree, letting the calm of the surroundings fill him. Even in ruins, the city offered gentle spaces like this, places for reflection, rest, and quiet thought. Nearby, Arin discovered another fountain, smaller than the one in the central plaza. It was dry, yet its carved figures, animals, leaves, and stars remained visible. Sunlight touched the stones, creating a pattern of shadows that moved slowly with the afternoon. Arin traced his fingers across the carvings, feeling the craftsmanship and care of a time long past. He realized that Eloria was full of these small wonders, quiet treasures waiting to be noticed. Arin climbed a series of broken staircases to reach the rooftops again. From here, the city stretched endlessly beneath him. Roofs glowed faintly in the sunlight, streets curled between crumbling walls, and distant forests and mountains framed the horizon. The wind moved gently across the heights, carrying the soft scent of flowers and earth. Walking slowly along the rooftops, Arin felt the city beneath his feet as both history and companion, alive in its calm, silent way. As the sun began to set, Eloria was bathed in warm golden light. Shadows stretched across the streets, and rooftops glowed softly. Arin paused to watch the scene, letting the tranquility fill him. The city's quiet streets, its abandoned towers, and its hidden courtyards all seemed to hum a gentle lullaby, welcoming travelers to rest and dream. As darkness approached, Arin walked slowly through the streets once more. Stars began to appear above the city, and the moon cast silver light across rooftops and streets. The old road beyond Eloria stretched into the distant forests and mountains, hinting at adventures yet to come. Arin felt a deep calm in the quiet of the night, knowing the city's stories would accompany him wherever he walked. He found a soft place near a wall to rest, closing his eyes under the gentle glow of moonlight and dreaming of the journey ahead. Arin awoke to a clear night sky. The stars sparkled above Eloria, reflected faintly in the cracked rooftops and stone streets. He walked slowly, letting the moonlight guide him through the city. Each shadow seemed gentle, every corner filled with calm. The city felt alive in its silence, as if it were breathing softly around him. From the central square, Arin looked up at the tallest tower. Its silhouette stretched across the streets in the moonlight, casting long, soft shadows. He climbed carefully, stepping onto the rooftop near its base. The wind carried a quiet rhythm, brushing past the stones and lifting his hair gently. From this height, the city below looked peaceful, timeless, and full of quiet stories. Returning to the library, Arin explored corners he had not yet seen. Stacks of old books and scrolls whispered softly in the still air. He carefully picked up a small journal, reading about travelers who had walked the old road centuries ago. Each word carried the calm of a forgotten time, guiding him deeper into the heart of Eloria. Beyond the library, a small garden awaited. A single tree stretched its branches, surrounded by soft moss and tiny flowers. Sunlight streamed through cracks in the surrounding walls, creating patterns of light and shadow that moved gently with the wind. Arin sat beneath the tree, listening to the subtle sounds of nature reclaiming the city. The garden felt like a sanctuary, a quiet heart within Eldoria's ancient walls. As the day ended, the city bathed in a warm, golden light. Rooftops glowed softly, shadows stretched along quiet streets, and the wind moved gently through the ruins. Arin walked slowly, noticing every detail, the carvings in stone, the delicate flowers in cracks, the soft whispers of history in the air. Eldoria's calm filled him completely, and he felt ready to rest for the night under the stars. Arin walked slowly through the quiet streets of Eldoria. The sun began its final descent behind the distant mountains, painting the sky in gentle shades of orange, pink, and violet. Rooftops, ruins, and gardens glowed softly in the warm evening light. The city's silence was deep and comforting, as if every stone and every tree whispered, "You are safe here. Rest, traveler." Arin paused on a small rooftop overlooking the central square. He watched the sunlight fade gradually, leaving the city bathed in soft twilight. A gentle wind swept through Eldoria. It moved softly across the streets, through the broken towers, and around the hidden courtyards. Arin closed his eyes and let the breeze brush past his face. It carried the scents of moss, wildflowers, and distant forests. The wind seemed to hum a quiet lullaby, one that had been sung by the city for centuries. He felt a calm settle deep in his chest, a peace he had never known before. As darkness fell completely, the sky above Eldoria became a deep, endless blue. Stars glittered like tiny lanterns, scattered across the heavens. Arin lay down on a soft patch of moss near the hidden garden. The city around him remained silent but alive in its own gentle way. The old road stretched far beyond the mountains, hinting at adventures yet to come, but tonight, he was exactly where he needed to be. Closing his eyes, Arin let the calm of the city carry him into sleep. He dreamed of soft forests, quiet rivers, and the gentle rise and fall of hills bathed in morning light. He walked along the old road in his dreams, discovering new paths, hidden gardens, and the quiet beauty of Eldoria. Every step was slow, peaceful, and filled with wonder. The city's lullaby wrapped around him, guiding him gently through dream after dream. The night deepened. The moon shone brightly above the quiet city, reflecting on broken rooftops and stone streets. The soft rustle of leaves, the distant echo of bells, and the gentle wind created a symphony of calm. Arin slept deeply, safe and at peace. Eldoria held its stories patiently, a quiet guardian of memory and dreams. And under the starlit sky, the city whispered, "Rest now, traveler. Your journey will continue when the morning comes." The world felt infinite yet gentle, filled with calm, wonder, and quiet magic. And so, in the heart of the forgotten city, Arin's long journey of discovery became a journey of peace, perfect for drifting into sleep.